Hi! If you are watching this, you probably have played WoW and want to try Gw2. Well, I also used to play WoW and wanted to play Gw2 at some point, and now, I guess I'm kind of like a Gw2 veteran, having 5,000 hours in only 2 years. And with all that information that I have from WoW and of course Gw2, I will be able to explain to you everything on how Gw2 works from a WoW player's perspective. That way you'll be able to make a good decision of whether to try or not the game. Alright, here we go. First, and this is the biggest thing people get memed about, vertical progression. This game doesn't have one. What? What does that even mean? What's the point then? What do we do? What do you play in the game? Is there any endgame at that point? Well, actually, yes. The truth is, vertical progression in this game wouldn't make much sense. Why? Well, because there are too many builds. Imagine each class has 3 specs, and each of these 3 specs has multiple builds. Some are healers, some are DPS, some tanks, whatever, right? Imagine if one Retribution Paladin in WoW could be a DPS, a ranged DPS, a healer, or a DPS healer, and also a tank. Imagine if you would have to gear for every of these builds, and each patch you would have to redo it once more because you need to get more gear. That wouldn't make any sense. It would be horrible. It would be a grind fest. It just wouldn't work. That's the reason why this game can't really have the vertical progression WoW has, right? Now maybe you don't like that, which is perfectly okay. If you don't enjoy that, that's fine, but it's just two different types of game, right? You probably, for example, wouldn't like vertical progression in something like League of Legends. Well, it's the same here. There's also an insane amount of different gear stats. Some of them, of course, are obsolete, and some builds may use the same gear as others, but you still will need a different type of gear set for each of those builds. Imagine every time you get a new patch, all your builds get invalidated, and you have to re-gear them every time. It will be a nightmare. In Gw2, the progression is quite literally horizontal, right? You can start from here, or here, and then from whichever of these points go up, right? There's like this horizontal level of different builds that you can gear up with different sets, and of course different rarity of those sets, and then just boop 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 boop, boop learn one and get one. Then, oh, I want this build, I'm just gonna learn this one. Instead of WoW, that is almost always just 1 or 2 or 3, and then you go boop 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 boop, you're done, right? And this one is like a whole horizontal types of builds, different types of them, and just start one, then another one, then I do this one, then I do that one. You know, it's way different, right? That being said, there is a certain amount of vertical progression. You start with exotic, which is just enough to clear any content with, and move to ascended, which has better stats. Then there's also legendary gear, which lets you change stats whenever you want, which is technically not better and just convenience item, but it's still the end game for most people. You will be the same stats as a ascended one, but you can just change it from different stats into other. After you get full legendary, you probably are done with the game in terms of gearing forever, right? You will have everything you need, and if you ever want to change something, you just change it with your legendary set. Although this will take you a long time. And even I, after having 5k hours, still don't have it all, for example. If you have any questions about this, which is something you might have, considering how confusing this is for a WoW player, just comment below. I'll talk about it. I can try and explain it in a better way, or just tell you the thing you do not understand, right? Now, let's talk about content. First thing you do usually in this game, leveling. Well, the first thing is you can boost if you want to, and it won't really make that much of a difference. Not in the bad way, though. The leveling is still important in terms of map completion, because whenever you complete the whole map in Guild Wars 2, you'll get a gift that you can use to get a legendary weapon. So even if you do boost, it won't really matter, because you probably want to go back and level those levels and explore those maps anyways at some point. And if you level up this normally, you will still get something out of it at the end of the day. And the normal experience, of course, is just essentially exploration. You go in, you go to one place, discover it, check up vistas, points of interest, hero points, and hearts, which are essentially kind of wall quests in WoW a little bit, and yeah, and just do them, and they will give you EXP, right? Hero points are usually just kill this big elite mob, and it will grants you this ability, these points that you can use to get more abilities and more traits, the talent trees that you usually would have in WoW, for example, and get a better build for yourself. And hearts are essentially quests that auto-complete when you're done. Some more similar to Legion World quests, in my opinion. You kill a lot of mobs and you're done. There are also random events that give you a lot of XP that spawn in random locations, which are essentially timed quests, kind of like timed world quests. Appear randomly in the map that you do with other people. These give a lot of XP, and sometimes they become long quest chains that finish in a cool event at the end. But also, there's many ways to level, not only the normal, do quests, blah 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 type of way. You can actually start doing end game right away on Guild Wars 2. For example, you can play PvP on level 3, I think. Just start level 3, you'll be equalized to everyone else in PvP, and you'll be able to, if that's what your thing is, if you're a player that enjoyed leveling if you're a player that enjoyed leveling with battlegrounds back in the day, you can definitely do this here, and you will learn a lot from your class and from the game itself very easily. You can also do dungeons and farm them just like you did in WoW, and you'll get end game rewards anyways, right? The dungeons, I guess, are a bit of a weird one. They're separated in different modes. You have story mode, which is kind of the easy mode just for the story, right? And you have the explorer mode, the hard mode, that usually end game players play, but you can still do it as you are leveling up. It will be harder, but you still get end game rewards, skins, gear, and even crafting materials for legendaries. They do give you daily rewards, and that's why you probably want to do them only once a day, each of the paths and story modes. And if you get 8 different paths or story modes, you will get 10 gold and some currencies as well, with a repeatable achievement that you can do. And it's definitely very good for a new player because it's kind of hard to get gold at the start, right? If you like farming dungeons, this is definitely a good way to level up with some friends, or just get in the LFG and put new player story/explorer mode, so players know that you're not gonna try hard and go really speedrun memes. Just, take your time and play the game normally. Now, about the real thing, the end game. There are a lot of different types of end game in this game. First of all, the fractals. These are the actual dungeons of the game, in endgame at least. Normal dungeons are still played for certain specific items, but they're not more developed anymore. Fractals are what ANET has been focused on, and they keep developing, right? You want to do them for specific items, gold, or just because you like them, right? They're essentially Mythic Plus. This is where Mythic Plus came in, right? With a non-infinite level ceiling and way more affixes, although less impactful in my opinion. This actually is the only game mode that actually has very good progression. In order to progress through it, you'll have to progress through 4 tiers of fractals. And you will have to get Ascended Gear in order to infuse those pieces of gear with Agony Resistance in order to progress through those fractals and not get one-shotted by mechanics. Unlike Mythic Plus though, this content is daily. There's a rotation of specific fractals that give you loot every day, and these are the ones you want to do. You also will have to progress through the 4 tiers of fractals, which are the same fractals repeated 4 times, each tier having a harder difficulty. This works a bit different than Mythic Plus in terms of how you're gonna play it. You usually do it, well, if you like them, you do it once a day every time, and there's also always gonna be a different rotation of these fractals. They're very quick, unlike Mythic Plus, and this way it keeps it rotating very far, and it just you never feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again. Raids, they have no trash unlike WoW, but they also work in a similar way. There's a kind of an easy mode where you get the same mechanics, but you get more health and damage. A normal mode and some bosses have a challenge mode, kind of like hard mode in Old War, that you activate when you get in. The raids have been a bit abandoned in terms of more development in order to get more focused into strikes, which are essentially one boss fights, and we haven't gotten one in a while because of the bad play rates. They're very good, but they're kind of hard because this game is very complicated. So ANET made an easy mode recently that might improve things enough that we get another one. Now strikes, as I said before, are the real 10-man content right now. That's working really well and it's being played a lot. There are essentially trials in Final Fantasy XIV, one boss raids, which are, as of right now, the hardest content in the game as well by a mile. Harvest Temple CM, the last one that we got on a month ago, I think, took 5 days for world's first, and limit maximum, well, liquid maximum now. From all talk to the big streamer Mighty Depot in the game right now because he was interested in the content, right? We'll also get a new strike and sim in a few months and should get more pretty regularly. The normal modes are very accessible for most people, and the CMs, the challenge modes, are made for people to progress for a while, right? There's a bit of something for everyone, you know? PvP is very fun. It works pretty similar to Battlegrounds in WoW, but they also have the same winning mechanic. You have to capture the points and defend them. Big thing in PvP is also using mid-jumpy poses around the hidden in the maps to kite your opponents so they don't get to you, or so you can, start range attacking them until they die. It's very cool and very interesting. There's also automated tournaments, which are pretty cool, where you can sign up with your friends to try and win with a lot of rewards. And if you win the monthly, very prestigious automated tournament, you'll also get a gizmo, which is a little bit of a crown that you put on your character that floats around above it, and it will shine and show everyone that you are the boss and you won the most prestigious monthly automated tournament. WoW vs World. This is probably one of the things that the game mostly shines about. Open world, large scale PvP. You teleport to this big map where you can have to fight 3 other servers. Consider this war fronts if they weren't as bad in WoW, right? And they were against another team made of real players, right? It's very fun. You'll have to siege to the castles and the keeps in order to get them for your team. And you will have to fight big blobs of players, 50 versus 50, and sometimes you want to roam, which is what they call it. You want to you can get like very small teams of 10 people to like go around, get 1 point, and then move around very fast without no one noticing, right? You can get exclusive skins, gear, legendary gear, and gold, of course. It's very fun, but it works pretty weirdly. It rewards you for playing, not winning, and ANET is definitely looking to fix it with alliances, but it may take a while. Maybe alliances might be next year. Who knows? It's kind of in the era now, but they will happen. They're developing and giving us updates as soon as they can, and they have during the whole year. It's still a rewarding game mode though, and trying to get the whole territory to say, look, my guild is so good. It's still fun, right? I must say also that each of these game modes has like a particular legendary that comes with it. The WoW vs World has a ring and a backpack, and also an amulet that will let you that will show that you play this a lot. And each of these ones, fractals, raids, strikes. Well, strikes I guess only have an infusion. PvP, everything like this have one thing to show. I play this game mode a lot. Collection. Now, you might be one of those players, just like I was back in the day, WoW, that would collect everything in the game. This game does this pretty well, in my opinion. There's definitely some things that kind of don't work, but there are a lot of skins, gear skins, minis, utilities, tonics, and stuff like that you can get by doing maps, like by farming stuff and using currencies to buy them, right? In WoW, you usually just go around the map, kill rares, collect currencies in order to collect dismounts, blah, 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 right? But in this game, there are no rares. You do events in the map, collect currencies, complete the map, do collections, and buy things with your currencies in order to get these things. There's almost no RNG for collections. You're not gonna be in this place where you have to, farm the same rare over and over again in order to get this specific item. This is not going to be the case. And when this is the case, sometimes it can be, you'll be able to buy it in the not in the gem store, but in the trading post, right? It'll be very expensive because this came from other player that is selling it to you. But that's the way to get around it, right? Everything is very straightforward. You do this, you get this. You might like this or not. I completely understand, but it's definitely not for everyone. But for me personally, being an ex-WoW completionist, it was a breath of fresh air not having to farm the same elite for months with just one transmog, Also, metas. Now, metas are a very weird thing that you won't understand if you... I can't even I can't even compare to anything in WoW, right? These are just essentially full map 50-man events that end up in a big boss at the end of it. There really isn't something similar. I guess Dragon's End, one of the metas in the End of Dragons, could be considered to be kind of like an open world 50-man raid, but it's still very different, right? In my opinion, this is the best content the game has to offer. Very fun, very chill, and very rewarding. Going with your bros, with your Twitch chat or whatever, going in one map, fighting a lot of trash mobs, going with 50 people, then staying there for like 30 minutes, killing stuff, capturing points, and then at the end you have to fight this big boss that gives you a lot of loot. It's just very, very fun. This is what I do mainly on my Twitch chat. I just find it very, very fun, very community driven, very, very cool. That's kind of like almost the most of the end game activities. Now, I haven't talked about some of the systems, right? First, we have masteries. This comes in as soon as you get to level 80. Think about this as like the typical WoW endgame system, like artifact power, corruptions, all that stuff. But it gives you a cool stuff like gliding, mount abilities, or quality of life stuff instead of actual power, right? For example, there's auto loot that you can get with this. You need masteries in order to get some, in order to craft some legendaries. You can make your mounts jump higher, jump further away, have more energy, go faster, stuff like that, It is also progressed by doing anything in the game, so you don't really have to farm it like we did in WoW. You're essentially doing something and you get XP that you can use in order to do it, to get your mastery later, right? The one thing that is very important is that in order to unlock these masteries after you got all the XP, you need to get the mastery points needed for that specific mastery to unlock it, right? This is done by finding them in the open world. There'll be this icon that you will be able to see in the map, or by doing certain achievements that will show you that as well. Mounts in this game are very different. Every one of them have different functionalities. The Raptor jumps far away, the Raptor jumps very high, the Skimmer just floats over the water and goes under it. Griffon glides very fast. A Skyskull flies further away and climbs walls, and the Rollerbiter goes very, very fast, but it's very hard to control. The Siege Turtle also can shoot lasers if another person is riding it on your back. And the Skiff is just a boat that you can use, and it goes pretty fast, to be fair, and you can fish on it. It's pretty cool. They're unlocked by doing specific quest lines. Collections is how we call it in this game. And by you getting some currencies, doing the quest, racing your dragon, your turtle, whatever, and then at the end you get it, right? The only bad thing about the system, which I hope they change at some point, is that all the skins are in the gem store, right? Sadly, it's just a thing that comes with this kind of games, free-to-play games, buy-to-play games, not really sub-fee games. It is what it is. At least we can, do the questions to get the actual mount. But I wish one day they make some legendary mount, something like that you can use, to like show, wow, I have this big skin for my mount. I'm a badass. But sadly, right now, this is not the case. Now, there's also another big thing that people get confused about, which is the Living World seasons. Now, what the fuck are those? Well, they're essentially, imagine, let's say we're in Cataclysm, right? We're in 4.0, then we're in blah, blah, 4.05, or then 4.1, blah, 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 right? Well, in Guild Wars 2, that also happens, but instead of 4.0, patch 4.2, blah, 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 we have Season 4, Episode 1. Season 1, Season 4, Episode 2, blah, 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 until it gets to the next expansion, right? We have one expansion, one Living World season, all the patches, one expansion, and that forever and ever, right? Each of these episodes will give you a new map to explore, new content, new skins, sometimes a mount, sometimes a fractal, sometimes a strike, and of course, always more story, right? As this game is not sub-based, you will have to purchase them with gold or with real money. Although, if you are playing at the moment that the new episode released, you'll get it for free, right? It's mostly for people that weren't there when it happened, right? If you want to experience the full story, just start from Season 1 and go upwards. Season 1 is free. Season 2 upwards, it will be paid for, right? And if you don't care about it, I would recommend just play the Living World Season 4 and Iceberg Saga, buy those ones, because they have the most amount of content, right? But yeah, that's essentially what the game is about. I would summarize it in a way of a lot of different types of game modes that all produce a lot of gold skins and stuff that you can collect, and at the end of each of these game modes, you will have essentially a legendary to prove that you play this game mode a lot. And probably the end game would be to get every legendary weapon and armor going full legendary, getting all of that. But at the end of the day, you can still play even without it. Right? It's a long-term progression that is not really necessary. It's just optional. You can experience all the content without it anyways, right? It's mostly for self-achievement, showing people that you play the game a lot, that you have achieved all these things in game. Thank you for watching. Tell me if you have any questions. I'll be playing the game a lot on Steam release on the 23rd. You can ask me in Twitch chat as well, and I can help you enjoy this game and not have any doubts. Thank you for watching. Sub to the stream, sub to the channel. See you around. Bye bye.